Hi everyone, my name is Vanessa van Dijk and today I want to talk about why acne can change so much with the seasons. Because some people say their acne always gets better in summer and other people say their acne gets worse in summer. And it is the same with winter. Some people say winter destroys their skin, whereas others say, actually, my skin is much calmer in winter. So it sounds like the season itself cannot really explain anything, because one person says that it improves and the next person says that it gets worse. But I think the problem is that we keep looking at the season as if summer itself is the treatment, or winter itself is the trigger. And I do not think that this is the real pattern. I think that it comes down to the changes people make in their diet. So what do you eat more of? What do you eat less of? Because a season can shift the entire day into a different sodium-potassium direction. And for those of you who are new here, let me quickly explain what I think the missing link is. Now, for my own consistent tracking over 2 years, I noticed that when sodium was high and potassium was too low, my acne was much more likely to flare up. But when potassium was high and the balance moved more towards 1:3, 1:4 or 1:5 in favor of potassium, my skin calmed down. And even when the day stayed fairly balanced, where sodium and potassium did not shift too aggressively in either direction, my skin could stay much more stable too. So for me it was really the direction of the whole day that mattered. And because the season can shift the entire day into a different sodium-potassium direction, I think this can be a major overlooked factor. And that is why seasonal acne suddenly became much easier to understand for me, because now it makes sense. Depending on the person, that seasonal shift can go in completely opposite directions. So I want to show you a few meal patterns, because then it becomes much easier to see what I mean. So let's start with the first summer pattern. This is the person whose diet becomes lighter in summer without even trying that hard. Maybe they start the day with scrambled eggs and a small yogurt banana smoothie. Then lunch is grilled chicken thighs with a boiled sweet potato, cucumber and tomatoes. Later, they have watermelon and guava, or sometimes, because it is summer, they may have a few scoops of vanilla ice cream. And of course, this does not mean ice cream is the daily eating pattern. It is just one of those summer foods that may come in here and there. But even that is interesting, because regular dairy ice cream can still move the ratio more in favor of potassium, which is not what you would think when you only look at it as a bad food. So the day keeps moving in a potassium-favoring direction. And then for dinner, there is a whole fish with potatoes, a salad and a DIY yogurt dip. And what is interesting here is that this does not have to be a perfect clean eating day. There can still be something like ice cream here and there. But the overall pattern is strongly potassium favoring, because the banana, yogurt, sweet potato, potatoes, fish, fruit, vegetable and simple homemade foods bring a lot of potassium. And at the same time, sodium stays relatively low, because there are not many salty sauces, packaged sides, brine foods, restaurant dressings or heavy processed foods. So in this pattern, summer can absolutely look like the season where the skin calms down. And this is not because summer magically fixes the hormones, but because hormones respond to the environment they are given. And in this case, the input changed. The whole eating pattern accidentally shifted in a better direction. And now let's compare that to summer pattern 2. This person is also in summer, maybe even in the same place, with the same weather and the same season around them. So from the outside, nothing really changed. But the food pattern is moving in a completely different direction. Their day starts with toast, smoked salmon and a salty spread. Then lunch is grilled meat or plant-based barbecue with marinades, bread or pita, grilled vegetables and sauces. In the afternoon, because it is summer, they may sometimes have a salted caramel ice cream or cookies and cream ice cream. And here even the ice cream is different, because salted caramel, cookies and processed add-ins can bring a lot more sodium with them. So even the summer treat now fits into the sodium-heavy pattern. And if that was not enough, dinner is a prepared bowl with salty dressing and dips. So this still looks fresh in places. I mean, there are vegetables, there's grilling, and there is a bowl. So from the outside, it still looks like typical summer food. But the sodium pattern is completely different, because a smoked salmon is usually salty. The spread can be salty, marinades can be salty, bread can add sodium, sauces and dips can add a lot, and prepared bowls can look healthy while still carrying a huge amount of hidden sodium. So this person may say, I do not understand it. I eat more fresh food in summer, but my acne gets worse. And from the outside, people may blame the ice cream or the sugar, the dairy, or even the heat. But if you look at the whole day, the bigger pattern may simply be that summer moved this person towards more hidden sodium. So one summer pattern can be potassium favoring. Another summer pattern can be sodium heavy. And that already explains why two people can be in the same season and still report completely different results. But this does not only happen in summer. The exact same thing can happen in winter too, because winter can also push people into completely different eating patterns. So here's winter pattern 1. This is the person whose winter actually becomes more home-cooked and simple. They start the day with 3 eggs, a small banana and water. Snack is a banana. Lunch is a whole boiled sweet potato, a homemade burger patty and a DIY yogurt dip. Dinner is homemade chicken stew with potatoes, pumpkin, beans and vegetables. Again, this is not some complicated health protocol. It is just simple food. But look at what happens. The potatoes, sweet potato, pumpkin, beans, banana and homemade meals push potassium up. And because the person is mostly cooking at home, there's less hidden sodium from sauces, takeout, packaged meals and restaurant food. So for this person, winter may actually improve acne, because winter makes them eat more tubers, more warm home-cooked meals and less processed food. So when someone says, my skin is better in winter, that does not automatically mean cold weather fixed their acne. It may simply mean their winter pattern moved more in favor of potassium. But winter can also do the opposite. For someone else, winter becomes less about tubers and homemade meals and more about cozy, salty, processed comfort foods. So here's winter pattern 2. This is the person whose winter becomes cozy, salty and processed. Their day starts with bread, cheese and pickles. Snack is salted nuts or pretzel sticks. Lunch is chicken noodle soup with bread and cheese. Dinner is chicken with creamy sauce, mashed potatoes, gravy and a packaged side. And again, none of these foods look shocking. This is normal winter food. This is the kind of food people eat when it is cold, cozy and they want something warm and comforting. But the sodium can quietly become very high. Cheese, pickles, salted snacks, pretzel sticks, soup, bread, gravy, creamy sauces, packaged sides, all of that adds up. So this person may say, my acne always gets worse in winter. And the common explanation may be dry skin, less sunlight, stress, indoor heating, or heavier oily food. And yes, those things may play a role. But if the whole day is moving sodium heavy, then the eating pattern itself may be a huge part of the shift. And this is why the data and personal stories can look so mixed. Because people are not all doing the same thing in summer, and they are also not doing the same thing in winter. One person's summer may be fruit, smoothies, potatoes, fresh meals. So overall, much more potassium. Another person's summer may be barbecue marinades, salty sauces, prepared bowls, smoked foods, and salty snacks. One person's winter may be home cooking, tubers, beans, pumpkin, and simple warm meals. Another person's winter may be cheese, bread, soup, gravy, packaged sides, and a salty comfort food. So the season is not the real answer. The season is the setting. The pattern is the answer. And this is why I think the usual trigger food conversation can be so misleading. because it makes you look for one food, when the real issue may be the direction of the whole day. When the pattern moves towards potassium, the skin has a better chance to calm down. When the pattern moves towards hidden sodium, the skin can stay irritated or get worse. And when the pattern stays fairly balanced without shifting too aggressively, the skin can stay much more stable too. So instead of chasing one trigger food, I think it makes much more sense to look at the whole day or even the entire week. Because when the pattern changes, the skin finally has a chance to calm down. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!